Hi, I'm Lou Rockwell, chairman of the Mises Institute, and I want to thank Dr. Ron Paul and the Ron Paul channel for allowing me to have these pretty much weekly fascism 5-minute programs. So, what is fascism? As I've said before, it's a particular ideology, a particular method of government. It's not just an epithet. It's not just an insult that people throw, but it describes something very real, beginning with Mussolini in the early 1920s and continuing up, I'm sorry to say, to the present day in the United States, among other countries. Now, of course, to say that the U.S. is a fascist government doesn't mean I'm saying that we're Nazis or even Italian fascists or Romanian fascists or Spanish fascists or many of the other sorts. But there are aspects of the American government that are connected to the corporate state. As Mussolini famously said, corporatism is really a better name than fascism because it's a combination of government power and corporate power. And that certainly describes the United States today. So I noticed that President Obama just recently, by an edict, raised the minimum wage for a bunch of workers in the country. Just, as one of Clinton's aides said, stroke of the pen, law of the land, kind of cool. That's a fascist impulse, because one of the key aspects of fascism is the worship of the executive, more and more power in the executive. It's what the Germans call the Führerprinzip, the leadership principle, that the one man who heads the executive branch is the key guy in all of society, not just the government, but all of society. And today we have the President of the United States, entirely unconstitutionally, as well as morally incorrectly and so forth, able to start wars on his own, able to issue all sorts of edicts, executive orders, just again by a stroke of the pen, because he has almost all power. Maybe he doesn't have as much power as Mussolini or Hitler or other previous leaders did, but he has vastly more power than the original American Constitution gave him. So this is, and also the worship of the president. I mean, I notice on MSNBC, which might as well be, the presidential worship network, one of the things they talk about every morning is, what's the soup being served to the president that day? Well, I mean, again, that's a fascist impulse, a worship of the executive, that you believe all power should be in the executive. Obama is saying recently that he'll use his pen and his phone. His phone? Yeah, well, anyway. His pen and his phone to rule as just one guy, as versus the Congress. The Congress, which is supposed to have certain powers under the American system, has pretty much given them all up. Outside of certain appropriation questions, the Congress has given over its power, has laid down and allowed itself to be rolled over by the executive branch. So you can look at American history, and one unfortunate aspect is the unbelievably constant increase in presidential power. This is not exactly like Washington and Jefferson. Even they, by the way, did things they shouldn't have done when they were in office. But we have, of course, Lincoln, massive increase in government power. Wilson, again, another massive increase. Roosevelt, whose New Deal was explicitly based on Mussolini's New Deal. Then we had Truman deciding on his own to, drop the atomic bomb on a country that was desperately trying to surrender. Then we have LBJ, and all the terrible things he did. We have Nixon, another imperial president, and really everybody since then. It's been an increase, a constant increase in presidential power. Really, the American government today is a dictatorship, and would have been seen as a dictatorship by the Founding Fathers and by earlier American political analysts. So this is a very unfortunate thing. It's connected to tyranny. He, by the way, asserts to himself the power to read everybody's emails, listen to everybody's phone calls, read everybody's texts, as we know in the NSA surveillance scandals. So right across the board, the American presidency is an institution that should not exist in its present form, is really the enemy of everything decent, everything free in this country and in the world. So first thing we have to do is be aware of what fascism is, how some of it is being replicated in our own country, and do everything we can to oppose it. We can follow the example, or attempt to follow the example of Ron Paul, of course. Thank you.